is to expose him for the fraud that he is, because Zohan Mamdani is a scam.
My initial thought, it's embarrassing for 34 years old to run probably the most successful city in the world. It's a disgrace for a city that was built by Jewish immigrants and made it to be the greatest city in the world.
A terrible thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic city. That's so bad for New York, but the rest of the country is revolting against it. But
I'm going to be brutally honest with you. New York hasn't seen a political meltdown this ugly in years, because the truth about Mamdani just blew wide open, and it's nastier than anyone expected. New Yorkers are stunned, the backlash is erupting in real time, and the guy who promised a revolution suddenly can't control the fallout from his own mouth. People are finally seeing he's a radical with big slogans, no math, and zero grip on reality. And the wildest part? His entire agenda is already collapsing before he even gets the mayor's chair in his hands.
A democratic socialist, he's not. He's a socialist. He's closer to a communist. He said it. He's on the record saying he wants to put as many socialists in power so he can seize the means of production. This guy, to me, hates the American dream. He hates what made this country great. He hates capitalism.
To be honest, New York didn't just elect a mayor. It accidentally handed power to a man peddling a political fantasy that disintegrates the moment it touches real-world numbers. He's out here promising free buses, government grocery stores, universal childcare, and billion-dollar giveaways like he found a magical ATM hidden in the basement of City Hall. Meanwhile, the city is drowning in a multi-billion-dollar budget shortfall. Investors are pulling back, and every economist with a working calculator is laughing at the imaginary math he claims he can run the city on.
Free childcare, free buses, freezing rent, and city-run grocery stores. He has claimed that we should not really have billionaires in this city, and he has vowed to make New York the strongest sanctuary city in the country.
On paper, he looks bold, but in reality, he's already buckling under the weight of his own promises, and he hasn't even been sworn in yet. New Yorkers wanted a leader. Instead, they got a man treating the city like a protest stage, pushing slogans with no money, no leverage, and no understanding of the financial catastrophe he's about to walk directly into.
And leave the leadership in Gaza.
I believe that any future here in New York City is one that we have to make sure that's affordable for all. And as it pertains to Israel and Palestine, that we have to ensure that there is peace. And that is the future that we have to fight for.
But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety.
And if the economic delusion wasn't dangerous enough, Mamdani's record on Israel and Jews is where the real alarm sirens start screaming. This man didn't just flirt with dangerous rhetoric, he dove straight into it. He refused to say Hamas should lay down their arms. He claimed he has no opinions on their future. He dodged condemning globalize the Intifada. He even pushed the idea that when the NYPD puts a boot on your neck, it's laced by the IDF.
I think that Commissioner Tisch would allow you to arrest Netanyahu in New York City?
I've appreciated Commissioner Tisch's leadership of the NYPD, and I think that she's done a good job at lowering crime across the city.
That's not a slip, that's a worldview. And Jewish New Yorkers heard every word. They saw the bizarre Hanukkah video, the inflammatory quotes, the clips, the speeches. They know exactly what he's been signaling. And now that he's mayor-elect, all that rhetoric doesn't vanish. It lands right back on his desk like a political time bomb. And this is the part his supporters can't spin. These weren't old posts, ancient comments, or misunderstood jokes. These were deliberate, recent statements from a man who built his brand attacking Israel, minimizing Hamas, and pandering to activists who treat anti-Semitism like an aesthetic. And now, for the first time, New York is forced to confront the question nobody wanted to ask. Is this who we want running the city at a moment when Jewish safety is already under threat?
New Yorker friends and colleagues and it's just they're very worried because Zohan Mamdani, he refused to denounce globalize the intifada, which is basically an anti-Semitic slogan about, murdering Israelis.
And if anyone thinks this is exaggeration, the reaction from Israel proves otherwise. This isn't social media noise, it's a diplomatic alarm bell. Israel's ambassador didn't sugarcoat a thing. He said Mamdani's victory sent shockwaves through Israel, and one lawmaker even declared, "The Big Apple has fallen." That's how seriously they're taking this man's record. Think about that. The largest Jewish community outside Israel lives right here in New York, and their own government is worried for their safety because of our incoming mayor. The ambassador pointed directly at Mamdani's track record, his inner circle, his public calls to boycott Israel, and his refusal to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. He didn't dance around it. He said Jewish New Yorkers are anxious, on edge, and watching every move.
New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu.
And Mayor Mamdani, would you welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu to New York City for whatever he comes for, given the US is not a signatory to the ICC, so he can travel to the US, unlike a lot of other countries. Would Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No. As mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a city that our values are in line with international law. It's time that our actions are also.
And then came the sting. The ambassador basically begged Mamdani to drop the radical theatrics and focus on protecting Jews in a city where anti-Semitism is already climbing. When a foreign government has to warn your mayor-elect not to inflame hate, not to escalate tensions, not to fuel attacks, that's not politics. That's a flashing red warning sign. But nothing exposes Mamdani faster than his obsession with the ICC and his fantasy of arresting Benjamin Netanyahu in New York City. This man actually stood on camera and declared he would exhaust every legal option to detain the Prime Minister of Israel if he stepped foot in the city. As if the mayor of New York controls international law, like he's directing a superhero movie. The reality? It was a political faceplant of historic proportions. The US isn't even a signatory to the ICC. The warrant is unenforceable here, and no mayor, not in New York or anywhere else, has the authority to arrest a foreign head of state. Legal scholars laughed. Israel was stunned. Even moderate Democrats whispered the obvious. He has no idea what his job actually is. That one moment told the whole story. Mamdani isn't just reckless, he's clueless. He delivers big talk with no legal backing, no diplomatic sense, and no awareness of how catastrophically stupid it would be to drag New York into an international crisis for attention. And now that he's mayor-elect, that clip is circling him like a political ghost he can't escape.
And there's this bizarre and insulting video he posted about Hanukkah.
And the second that video resurfaced, New Yorkers snapped awake. Investors froze major projects. Real estate developers started preparing exit plans. Companies quietly began scouting office space outside the city. Even everyday New Yorkers, people living paycheck to paycheck, started saying the same thing. If we can afford to leave, we're out. That's not political drama. That's survival instinct. They're watching crime indicators rise, taxes set to spike, and a mayor-elect who treats city governance like activist theater.
The rest of the proposals that he's making, it cannot happen. What are we going to do? We're going to take away, in order for that to happen, we need to tax the rich, the 1%, corporations. Well, what's going to happen is they're just going to flee New York City because, quite frankly, it's going to become a crime-ridden city even more than it is now. There's garbage everywhere. There's no incentive for corporations and rich people to stay here.
And the backlash is vicious. The same people who cheered for him weeks ago are now wondering how they missed the avalanche of red flags. The speeches, the clips, the radical promises. Everything he thought made him look courageous is now making him look unstable and wildly unprepared. This is the moment where a normal politician calms the city. Mamdani, he's already sinking. But the real knockout punch isn't coming from the right. It's coming from inside his own party. The minute he won, powerful Democrats started panicking right alongside Republicans. This isn't a partisan divide, it's a political survival reaction. They realize what he doesn't. A mayor with radical ideas, no funding, no coalition, and no trust from the business community is a mayor heading straight into a buzzsaw. Longtime Democratic donors are backing off. Local party leaders are whispering that he's not ready, not steady, and not capable of governing a city this large. And the worst part? Instead of calming nerves, he's doubling down. He keeps insisting New Yorkers will understand in time, as if repeating slogans louder will magically fix a collapsing economy, a terrified Jewish community, and a panic-stricken business sector. That's why this is so dangerous for him. He's losing the people who were supposed to protect him. The Democrats who backed him for the optics are now scrambling to distance themselves before the fallout torches their own careers. They supported activist Mamdani. Now they're stuck with Mayor Mamdani, and they're terrified. And while his party tries to escape the blast radius, Mamdani stands there in denial, pretending nothing's wrong while the city burns through trust like gasoline. Investors are fleeing faster than he can post a slogan. Crime signals are flashing red. Neighborhood leaders are warning about rising threats. City agencies are preparing for budget chaos the moment he steps into office. But Mamdani keeps acting like all he needs is time, as if New Yorkers are going to wake up one morning and say, sure, bankrupt the city, destabilize law enforcement, and insult half the population. Sounds great. That delusion is what makes this collapse so ruthless. Public confidence isn't slipping, it's evaporating. Every day he stays in denial. Every day he doubles down on the same radical rhetoric that dragged him into this crisis, he shrinks a little more. He's not walking into power. He's walking into a political inferno he built himself and refuses to acknowledge.
Netanyahu on your first day?
So my plan on my first day is to become sworn in as the next mayor of New York City and start to deliver on an affordability agenda. I've said time and again, this is a city of international law, a city that believes in those values, and one that should honor the warrants that have been issued by the International Criminal Court, be it for Vladimir Putin or Benjamin Netanyahu.
And if anyone still doubts how radioactive this situation is, look back at the warnings from Israel. The ambassador flat out said Jewish New Yorkers are on edge. He's right. Threats are rising. Tensions are spiking. And Mamdani's past comments only pour gasoline on a fire the city can't afford. His victory week lasted 48 hours before the governor shot down his free buses and state-run groceries. His transition team imploded, Wall Street froze, real estate fled, and corporations started scouting Florida and Texas. Talk radio is melting down. Democrats are distancing themselves, and moderates are already whispering recall. They didn't elect a leader, they elected a crisis, and that crisis is about to walk into City Hall.